It's okay.
Okay. Please study. Just after all, we are here to learn.
Okay, madam.
Yes, let's study. So today we are going to look at tourism. And by the end of today's lesson, make sure you take it upon yourself to be able to define and know what tourism is. I'm sure you've already done these things with your previous teacher. You're going to have to be able to identify all the major tourist attractions in Switzerland. You're going to have to be able to describe the physical and human factors that led to the development of tourism in Switzerland. Okay. I want to know whether I am being followed or I'm just wasting my time. I want to hear from someone.
Yes.
You're following, eh? So if you're following and you have a passport, how many of us have passports? If you have your passport, raise up your hand. I want to see those hands that have passports. Who has a passport? Please put your hand up. Raise your hand if you have a passport. Only 5 people have passports. Who has a passport? No. 6 people, 7. Others are lying. Gift, you're lying. Out of 48 people, only 8 have passports. How many people have passports? Because we are going in for a journey. And I want to know how many people are going to get on the flight with me. Only 7. Those of you that don't have, we shall tell you what transpired as we went to our trip to Switzerland. 9. So I have a flight of 9 people only. Probably you're going to take the economy class. We shall not get enough funds to take us. We need numbers. 12, 11. Okay. Now that I have gotten my people, the passengers I'm moving with, I want to take you through a journey to Switzerland. We go and see how does Switzerland look like. But before we do that, I want someone to define for me tourism. What is tourism? You have looked at this before. By definition, what is tourism? Oh, we are using first class. Tourism, I want someone to define tourism. Unmute yourself and say some Prudence. What is tourism? Prudence, what is tourism?
Teacher, should I hear you?
I'm hearing you, please. Prudence, I'm all ears. You can talk to me.
Teacher.
Yes.
Tourism is the act of moving from one.
From one?
Tourism is the act of moving one place.
It's the act of moving from one place to
a parent place, learning more.
Tourism is the act of
moving from one place
to another.
A different place.
Isn't that migration from one place to another?
From one place to another. Chill.
To what? To chill?
No, tourism is the act of moving from one place to a different place, finding more about the facts of physical.
Okay. Teacher. That is a good trial. You're saying she has brought in the concept of you move to go and find out facts. I don't know which facts. Patrick, what is tourism according to you?
Tourism is an economic activity aimed at earning income to a particular person or country.
You mean when tourists come to Uganda, which money do they get?
Foreign.
Patrick, if you're lost, please, this is history. This is geography senior 2. He's wondering which class this is. Geography senior 2, we're looking at tourism. And someone is saying tourism is the economic activity of moving from one place to another to earn. Do you mean how much money does our dear president give the tourists that come to Uganda? Or when you go to Kasese, how much money do you earn? Yes,
Tourism is where different people move from an area to different areas for adventure.
Good. So she has brought in the concept of adventuring. Sharina is saying tourism is the concept of people moving from one place to another for adventure. So one of the purposes of tourism is to adventure. Thank you, Sharina. Yes, Dorilens. Dorilens, what's your take on tourism?
Tourism is the act of moving from one place to another for pleasure.
For pleasure, good. So we have for adventure. Someone has added for pleasure. Why else would I leave my country to another or one place to another? Joanne.
Tourism is the visit of places of interest for study and pleasure.
So someone, we have adventure, study, pleasure. I need all the other purposes of tourism. Thank you, Joanne.
Teacher.
Yes, please. Big brother. Someone is named Big Brother. Big Brother, talk to us. Yes, Bulamu. Bulamu, tell me, what is tourism according to you?
Teacher, some people go to different places for to know more things.
To know, for discovery. Isn't that an adventure also? Okay, so we are going to define tourism.
Teacher, can I try again?
Yes, please.
Can I try again?
One last time.
Tourism is the practice of traveling for a purpose, leisure.
Prudence, for purposes of what? Your network is breaking.
Or study.
We lost her. So we are going to define tourism. We have somewhere to note that tourism is the act of moving from one place to another. Yes, Hilda. For purposes of pleasure, adventure,
or study.
Study, good. Research and curiosity. You curiously move. You wake up one morning and you're wondering, how does Switzerland look like? So you simply wake up to go for adventure, to do research, for pleasure. You have your money and you don't know where to use it with, so you go. You decide to simply go. So when you look at tourism in Switzerland, Switzerland is one of the most famous countries in the world that people visit so much. It is known for its increasing number of tourists every year. Okay, so you're going to wonder, we're going to look at what are those tourist attractions in Switzerland. First of all, what do you know about Switzerland? Tell me about Switzerland. Write down in the chat. What have you learned so far about Switzerland?
Excuse me, madam.
Yes, Shami.
Madam, I beg your pardon on the definition of tourism.
It's the act of moving from one place to another for purposes of pleasure, adventure, research, curiosity. Prudence, can you add another one? Adventure, research, curiosity, pleasure.
Or study.
Or study, good. Shami, are we together now?
Yes, thank you,
madam. And I'm
madam.
saying tourism in Switzerland. Switzerland is known to be the world's most famous, most visited areas because of its different tourist attractions. What are those things that people love to go and visit and see in Switzerland? Someone wakes up in the morning and they're like, I have to go to Switzerland. Someone is saying it's a beautiful country. John, how beautiful is it? We need details on that beauty. Please join the chat. Join it, Logose. Yes, what do you know about Switzerland? Or if you visited Switzerland, what did you see? Some people have their passports, like we say.
Someone would like, when someone goes to Switzerland, would like to see the beautiful sceneries like
The
Alps,
beautiful scenery.
yes,
What
like
makes the scenery
Alps.
beautiful?
It has Alps and mountains. It also
Beautiful,
has
the mountains, the wildlife. Gift, thank you, the water bodies. Viking, have you been to Switzerland before?
No.
Oh, what do you hear people talk about Switzerland that you would love to go and see one day?
It has a numerous number of mountains.
Beautiful. It has mountains like the Alps mountains, the glaciated features, the Swiss Jura, you know.
Yes. It has a numerous number of lakes.
Has
So
lakes
many.
like Constance, Lake Geneva, Lake Lugano. Okay. So before we start assuming, people think we are lying. I want to show you a video of those different tourist attractions for 10 minutes just. I want to show you a video. So we have defined Switzerland. Are you able to see the video?
no.
You're not seeing the video on my screen?
We are seeing it.
You're seeing. Now it's going to play.
My name is Ryan Shirley, and I just returned from a one-week road trip to the beautiful country of Switzerland. And I want to show you my top 10 favorite places.
Are you seeing the Alps mountains?
So we're going to start this video off in the beautiful mountains of Appenzell. What I did is I landed in Zurich and I drove an hour to Appenzell. There's this mountain, it's called Schäfler Mountain, and it is absolutely beautiful. It reminds me of Cicada in the Italian Dolomites. And anyways, to get there, what I did is I took the gondola from Eppenalp up. It was about $31 round trip. And then from there, I hiked to Schäfler.
That is the beautiful scenery in Switzerland.
Restaurant/lodge. And it's about $45 a night to stay up there. Me and my buddy Danny, we decided to stay up there. It was pretty awesome. And we were able to film the sunset over this beautiful Schäfler Mountain. I mean, it was incredible. Like one of the cool sunsets.
Wow.
Yes, please.
Sunsets in my life. We were able to whip out the FPV drone. It's not as crowded as other areas.
Someone is saying increase the volume. Just watch.
Okay.
Yes, watch. Just watch. Look at that.
What's up, guys? My name is Ryan Shirley, and I just returned from a one-week road trip to the beautiful country of Switzerland. And I want to show you my view of Cicada in the Italian Dolomites. And anyways, to get there, what I did is you hike up to this restaurant/lodge.
Miranda, learn how to go in Switzerland in 10 minutes, squad.
Buddy Danny, we decided to stay up there. It was pretty awesome. And we were able to film the sunset.
Someone is
over
making
this
noise.
Beautiful Schäfler Mountain.
Please
I mean,
watch
it
the
was
beautiful
incredible. Like,
tourist
one of the cool
attractions. That is
sunsets in my
the
life.
scenery,
We were able to whip out the
the
FPV
mountainous
drone.
areas.
It's not as crowded as other areas in Switzerland, and it's just absolutely beautiful. This lodge was awesome. It was $45 a night, and from the viewpoint, you can see 3 countries. You can see Germany, Liechtenstein, and Austria, and it was awesome. So I'd highly recommend you visit here. It is just one of the coolest places ever. If you're not staying in the lodge, make sure you make it back by 7 to the gondola so you can take a ride down. Also in the area, there's a beautiful lake. You can visit one of the most beautiful restaurants in the world that's located in the side of a freaking cave. I didn't go there because I didn't have time, but if you're in Zurich, you might as well. So anyways, that is it for Appenzell.
How
For
do
our
you
next location, we're going to head over to probably the most beautiful place in the world. in my opinion. It is the beautiful town of Lauterbrunnen.
Yes,
This is a valley of over 75 waterfalls. This is where authors such as J.R. Tolkien got inspired for like books such as Lord of the Rings. And when you go there, you're going to understand because it is just absolutely magical. It's this little town nestled in this just valley with tons of waterfalls. It is so green. There's like cows all around, and it's just magical. I found this really cool park that had like a ping pong table and just a bunch of really cool things right at the base of the waterfall. We walked around. We went to a co-op store to get the Swiss essentials, like the chocolate and Coke, and we just walked around. We had an awesome time. I mean, it was just such a magical experience. So if you are in Switzerland, I'd highly recommend you go to Lauterbrunnen because it's going to blow your mind. After Lauterbrunnen, the next day we made the journey to the top of Europe to the infamous place of Jungfrau Joch. I think that's what it is. But anyways, so we woke up way early and we took the train from Lauterbrunnen all the way to Jungfrau Joch, which is the top of Europe. We bought our tickets. Normally, during the summertime, it's about $240 per person. But if you go in the morning, it is $120 for the early bird special. So I'd highly recommend you do that to save some money. Anyways, it's quite the train ride up the mountains. You make a few stops, and then you're going to go through the mountain. Halfway through the mountain, you're going to make a pit stop. And you'll be able to get out. And you can see the glacier. I mean, I've never seen a glacier so close up before. There's a lot of mountaineer people that were making a pit stop because they're actually hiking across this glacier to reach the top. So I thought that was pretty cool. But anyways, after that pit stop, you're going to get back on the train and you'll make it up to the top, and you'll get off and you'll walk through a bunch of tunnels. It was a little bit confusing for me. Anyways, we got up to this, it's called like Ice Plateau, I think, and we were able to get some really cool shots from there, and there was no one there because we were the first people up on the train, so that was awesome. After we went to the top of the Jungfrau Joch, and we were able to get just awesome views of the whole entire area. There was just this really massive glacier. I mean, it was just absolutely phenomenal. There was a lot of people, which, I mean, it's kind of a downer. After that, we were able to walk in the glacier tunnels, and these are just spectacular. It's these tunnels of ice that you're able to walk through, and there's just a lot of ice sculptures. It's just a really surreal experience. You can also walk around outside. We found some other cool places. There's some other activities such as like tubing and stuff. But yeah, it was just a great time up at Jungfrau Joch. We took the train ride down. We made a little pit stop, and then we headed down to the town called Wengen. And Wengen is right above Lauterbrunnen. And the only way you can get there is you can only take a train or you can walk there because there are no cars allowed in the city. Wengen is great because you are able to get a view of the Lauterbrunnen Valley that you're not really able to get in the town of Lauterbrunnen. We went up there, beautiful. So I'd highly recommend making a little pit stop in Wengen if you can. I know the tickets from Lauterbrunnen are only like $7 or $10 for the train ticket, or you can just hike up. Make sure you go there. So after Wengen, made our way down and we drove over to the other valley to the infamous town of Grindelwald. Now, Grindelwald is one of my favorite places in Switzerland. What I love about Grindelwald is the view of Mount Eiger. It is like one of the biggest mountains I've ever seen. It is just massive. I was there about 2 years ago and I hiked to this really crazy peak, able to get some of the coolest drone shots I've ever gotten. I was able to get just brilliant views of Mount Eiger, and also on the other side there were some really cool lakes I was able to film. So yeah, so I'd highly recommend making a stop in Grindelwald. You won't regret it. After Grindelwald, we headed over to the beautiful lake of Oeschinesi. Hope I said that right. Located by the city of Kandersteg. It's about a 5-mile hike round trip. It's a moderate hike, but it is very steep. You're gonna walk up this road. Once you get to the lake, your mind is gonna be blown. I've never seen a lake with such a big backdrop as this lake. I mean, the mountains surrounding it are so huge. Yeah, me and my buddy Danny, we hadn't showered in days, so we took the opportunity to take a dip in the lake, swim around, and just have a good time. I definitely recommend making a pit stop here. After Lake Oeschinesi, we're gonna head over to the west side of Switzerland to the beautiful town of Les Diablères. It's about a 2-hour car ride from Geneva or about a 3-hour car ride from Zurich. You get to this town and you hike to this massive bowl. When I did it, I counted over 15 waterfalls. I mean, it was just blowing my mind. I hiked to the bowl. I was able to get some beautiful drone shots in the meadow, and then I hiked up to the rock, and I was able to fly my drone around. I actually almost lost my drone here. I was flying it and it ran out of battery. I did an emergency landing. I had no clue where it was at. Surrounding mountains have the highest peak in western Switzerland. So after Les Diablés, we're gonna head over to the beautiful city of Geneva. This is one of my favorite cities in Switzerland. I had the opportunity to live here for 2 months about 2 summers ago when I did an internship with human rights groups. I made videos for them. But Geneva is famous for having the United Nations. It's just a really cool place with a lot of action going on. They have the infamous Jet d'Eau, basically just this giant fountain that shoots water hundreds of feet up in the air. And it's pretty cool. Lake Geneva is awesome. I used to just go swim and hang out there in the evenings. I found the Sunkumbo. I used to always swim too. I also found some cool places, jump off the bridges into the water, and I mean, it was just a good time. Highly recommend visiting Geneva if you're in the west side of Switzerland. After Geneva, we're gonna head over to one of my favorite cliff jump spots in Switzerland, to Valle Versaska. So Valle Versaska, located in the south side of Switzerland, near the town Lugano, which is just borders Italy. So you're gonna drive this little canyon and you're gonna get to Valle Versaska. And what it is, it's these 2 bridges overhangs one of the most beautiful rivers I've ever seen. It's probably some of the clearest river water in the world. I've been there several times. I love jumping off that bridge, doing some backflips, and then I also like to go swim in the water. It is freezing cold, but it's super clear, and it's just a rejuvenating experience. I'd have to say Valle Versaska is one of my all-time favorite swimming and cliff jumping locations in the world. If you're in southern Switzerland, make the drive up there and you won't regret it. So now for our final location, we're going to head to the beautiful town of Zermatt. Zermatt is famous for the Matterhorn mountain. So to get to Zermatt, you can't drive to the city itself. You have to drive nearby and you'll take a train up because there's no cars in the city. Then you get to town, you'll be able to see the Matterhorn, and it's just gonna blow your mind. It's so cool. You can take a bunch of gondolas up to the Matterhorn or other surrounding locations. I was being a cheapskate and didn't want to spend $60 to $100 to get to the Matterhorn. I do regret that, so if you're going, I would recommend you do it. Or get a Swiss pass and you'll be able to get discounts on the gondolas. What I did is I found a little walking path that allowed me to see the Matterhorn and get beautiful drone shots, and also I did some like flips and twists and splits in the area. They also have McDonald's there, so definitely recommend going there. You have to see the Matterhorn at least once in your life. But that is it for my top 10 Switzerland video. If you like any of the shots, I sell stock footage on my website. If there's any particular shot you want, send me a DM on Instagram or email me on my email and we can figure something out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. More vlogs, more cinematic edits coming soon. It's Ryan and we will see you later.
So we are back. Welcome back from that journey. How many still want to go back? My volume refuses to get higher than that. That is the high. People want to get back. What have you learned, Irene? What have you learned from that video? Viking, what have you watched? What have you learned? What have you seen that is striking about Switzerland? Those are the top 10 must go to areas. Viking, you said you've never been to Switzerland. I've given you a hint. What have you liked most?
The Alps are nice. It has so many nice rivers, beautiful lakes. Yeah, that's what I've learned.
That's what you've loved. So Viking, you have a place to go to you have something in mind. Melody, what have you loved about Switzerland in 10 minutes?
I have liked the Cave of Ice.
The Cave of Ice?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Stephen, what have you liked about Switzerland? Mario?
Yes, I'm getting you.
What have you learned about
I
Switzerland?
learned several things like mountains, the beautiful grasses,
You've
the
liked
beautiful
that?
houses, or the construction, the rivers and the swimming pools. They're all nice and they're there. That's what I have learned.
From the video. Thank you for your submission. Can I hear from Joanita?
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I am. Joanita, what have you seen that has fascinated you in the video?
Madam, I've seen the snow, the mountain slopes, which would
The snow, the beautiful Rocky Mountains. Okay, Xavier, finally. Let me hear from Xavier and we move on. So we've seen mountains, snow.
Good hotels.
The good hotels. Didn't you see the railway line as well, the transport network? Sabrina, did you see the railway line? The train stations?
Mountain summer.
Crystal, did you see the train station? In the train?
I saw them.
You saw them, eh? So
Yes.
I think that was Switzerland for you. So we are going to look at what do you think this is the most visited area in the world? But I think there is reason for it too. I think it qualifies to be called the most visited area in the world. Okay. Tell me everything is impressive. Someone loved the bridges. Josephine loved the bridges. So we are back in Uganda, please. We shall talk about Switzerland for as long as we can. The trip has been good. Make sure you keep your passport. We have to take it to another lesson. Now, I want us to look at what tourist attraction features are there. We have mentioned the Great Alps mountains, the glacial features for mountain climbing. Okay. We want to look at the factors that have led. We've looked at the different tourist attractions in Switzerland. We've seen the climate, the winter, the snow. We've seen the beautiful lakes and rivers. The man in the video said Lake Geneva was his best. Rivers like Rhine, Rhone, River R, River Pol. Okay. So the beautiful flora and fauna. What about that? Yes, Lake Logano, Lake Marjorie. There are so many lakes. I think you mentioned them already. You already know them. So these massive tourist attractions see Switzerland as the biggest or the most visited area. So we are going to find out in this lesson what exactly is the reason for the existence of tourism as the most prominent area in Switzerland. Okay. So we're going to look at physical factors and human factors, but you need to take note that in geography, especially when you're working for UNEB, whenever you talk about physical factors, you must give me the word presence because they're naturally occurring. You're going to say the presence of a beautiful scenery. So I want people to give me answers when they've mentioned the word presence. Raise your hand or put in your chats quickly. We have a few minutes left. Melody, yes. Give me the explanation alongside the examples according to what is on the screen.
I forgot to put down my hand.
You forgot to put down your arm. Viking, did you also forget yours?
No.
We are looking at physical factors that have enabled the boosting of the tourist sector in Switzerland.
Yes, presence of beautiful Alps, mountains, etc.
Yes.
Presence
Alps mountains.
Yes, presence of favorable climate.
A favorable climate. In geography, when you talk about climate, we're looking at, especially for Switzerland, in this case, we're looking at the warm summers and the cool cold winters where people go basically to carry out sunbathing, to play games, the winter games like skating and skiing. The warm summers, they are going to go into the resorts and the beaches for sunbathing. Thank you, Viking. I want someone else. Melody, is your hand still forgotten up? The point is there. I want you to explain quickly. Enoch Namanya, talk to me. Lana Jess Lana, unmute and talk to me. Explain. We have looked at the beautiful scenery, the warm summers for those different winter spots and summer spots. I want to explain its central location in the heart of Europe. You realize that Switzerland is found in the center of Europe, bordered by those different countries: Italy, France in the west, Italy in the south, Germany in the northeast, and then Australia. So all these countries make cities then it is in the middle. So everyone from German, from Australia, from Italy can all access France. Then if you are to continue, we are going to look at the diversity of flora and fauna, another physical factor. So the presence of diverse flora and fauna, the zoos, the national parks have so many beautiful and unique animals. If you have something to add, please scribble down something in the chat. Then we have drainage features. Switzerland is known for being the most drained area. It has so many water bodies. And when I talk about water bodies, I'm looking at things like rivers, so many rivers. It has numerous rivers like Rhine, Roll. River Rhine is the biggest with its tributaries, that is Rues and R as the main tributaries of River Rhine, moving from Germany. So you talk about lakes like Geneva, the presence of Lake Zurich, Lake Lugano, Lake Maggiore, so many lakes. So all these ones attract quite a number of tourists who come in to do boat cruises. In Uganda, I think you've heard of the Prominence Boat Cruise. People go to Lake Victoria to swim, you know, to carry out fishing, that leisure fishing, not economic fishing, especially if you're a tourist. You would love to try it out, okay? So what you need to ensure that you do is you write the word presence. You describe the feature with the word presence because it is a natural existing feature. We use presence when describing the physical. So to sum up the physical factors, the beautiful scenery, the drainage, we talk about the flora and fauna, the climate, and the relief. Those are the things that God naturally endowed Switzerland with. And if you want to go to see that, please look out for those areas, the Alps mountains. Someone is saying a well-developed... What about the Alps?
The Altair.
The what?
The Altair.
Yes, they're still under relief. I think we should move on. So I have different pictures showing you the different physical features in Switzerland. We have the Alps mountains. You can see how beautiful the scenery they give. This is backed by the green with it. Then we have the roads crossing through extensively. The glaciated mountains, the snow-capped mountains that allow skating to be carried out by the tourists. All these attract a number of tourists. People go and make films from there. You see, someone goes and climbs a mountain just to see that and have a feeling of it. Then we have the beautiful lakes. And this is Lake Geneva. It has a beautiful resort where you go and sleep and don't even leave the country. Then we have the meandering, the meandering rivers. And this river is meandering, meanwhile, through a mountain. Amidst the Rocky Mountains. So you would love to go and see that for sure. So people go, and these are winter sports now. You do skiing. People who have phobia for heights, you cannot do this one. But if you really are the kind that can go beyond so many feet above the ground, you go and do skiing. You go and see the peak of those snow-capped mountains. Then others go and carry out skating on the snow. Very beautiful. So many people go just to try out that. So basically that is about the physical factors for tourism in Switzerland. Any questions? Who is mesmerized? Any additions? So someone, Mario, thank you. She has summarized the beautiful wildlife, the strategic location, that is physical, it is naturally occurring. Please, I'm reading your chats as well. Try to dribble down something, write down something. Now, I want us to look at other factors that lead to the development of this sector. These ones that man can do to rectify, to ensure that tourists come. And these are the ones we are calling human factors. They are just availed by man. Man puts those things in. So we are not using the word presence, we are using availability. So I want to hear someone explain a point here using the word availability. Availability, because we are looking at human factors. It is human beings that avail these ones. Say something, unmute yourself.
Availability of transport. Anyway, that makes
availability of
easy.
Availability.
Availability of
transport,
yes.
And railway, that makes transport easy.
Beautiful. Availability. Now, when you talk about transport, how is it? Is this just transport for? You tell us the type, the quality of the transport. So we are saying availability of well-developed transport network, ranging from the use of cable cars, electrified railway lines. We've seen massive rail stations. You can go, transport can take you through, these cable cars can take you through caves. A road that is constructed to cross a mountain, to move through mountains, meandering, all that can ease accessibility, where tourists can go wherever without having to think twice or without being hindered by ugly transport network. So that is one. Affection. I have a student called Affection in this class. Affection, can I hear? What is affectionate about Switzerland's tourist sector? Affection is not really with us.
Madam.
Yes.
Reasons for inadequate capital from local and foreign individuals to invest the sector, e.g., construction or hotels.
Beautiful. She's saying, but then you said inadequate. It is supposed to be adequate. So the word we are looking at availability of adequate capital, and this capital is coming from the government. It can come from foreigners, and this same money is used to construct hotels, to construct the railway lines, and that attracts and boosts the tourist sector. Beautiful. Thank you. I see hands up. I see hands up. Unmute yourself and say something. Yes, Desire.
Tour guides, drivers,
employment to the people. What is, talk from the beginning? I hear you once again. Sharina?
Tour managers.
Please, we are saying availability. Use the word availability of skilled.
Availability of skilled.
Yes. Like the tour guides, the managers, the drivers that are very hospitable, by the way. it attracts so many. They are tour guides. They take you around. You don't go to a place and you keep quiet. You don't know where to go. So these tour guides provide the adequate, they answer all the questions of the tourists, and that also boosts the sector.
The availability of water bodies, e.g. Lake Geneva, which attracts tourists who bring income.
Beautiful, but we say that is under physical, and we already dealt with the physical. Okay, we are now looking at human factors. Oh boy says something.
Excuse me, madam.
Yes, please.
Madam, is presence mainly used on physical factors and then...
Exactly, yes. In geography, presence is mainly used on physical factors. Here we are going to use availability, because it is human beings that are availing these things. Okay?
Okay, madam.
I hope I've answered you, but with the natural occurring factors, they are present. Okay? Yes.
Madam.
Angelica, say something.
Madam?
Yes, please.
Availability of inadequate skilled and unskilled labor force to work in the industries, e.g. hotel managers and game rangers.
Prudence, we've just finished that and I've corrected you. When you say inadequate, it means it's not enough. You'd rather say adequate. Adequate means enough. So when you say inadequate, when it's not enough, it cannot favor tourism. So large supply of adequate skill. The word is adequate. Please correct your notes, not inadequate. Okay. So we talked about the excellent accommodation facilities, well-developed transport network, large sums of capital, availability of large sums of capital from the government, from the well-wishers, from the immigrants, and then the presence or availability of skilled and semi-skilled labor. With skilled labor, we have tour guides that are trained. These people know various tourist languages. Kylie.
Excuse madam.
Yes, please.
Madam, is favorable government policies a physical or human?
It is a human factor. It is the government putting a policy. So a favorable government policy, you've given us a beautiful point. Favorable government policy. How does the government support the tourism sector of Switzerland? Okay. It through advertising, it offers credit facilities by lowering the prices or the amount of money you're supposed to pay. That is a good government policy. The tour companies are subsidized. They're given, they are taxed.
Madam, what
They're
about?
not very much taxed. The availability of political stability, high levels of technology. When I talk about high levels of technology, I already thank you. We mean the cable cars, the transport network, the tourists enjoy. Please write down in the chat. I'm enjoying reading as I explain. So I think as you're writing down, you should also see the winter results. Look at these results. Yes, please.
What about if you say availability of labor?
Of? Availability of?
Increase of advertisement.
Of course, the high rates of advertisement. Beautiful, that's a good point.
Increase.
Through the televisions, they give flyers to the tourists. It makes tourists aware of the available tourist attractions in Switzerland. So the intensive, in fact, the best word is to intensive advertisement. So if I'm to continue, we are saying intensive advertisement through media, through televisions, radio stations. You get it? Flyers, magazines, so that people are made aware of the occurring or the present tourist attractions. I want to hear more people explaining the hospitality of the International languages. Thank you, Amelia. There are so many international
What about?
languages. Wait, I explain. When I'm talking, you keep quiet, then I ask you to talk. Okay? Ashley is saying availability of many international languages. I said Switzerland is found in the heart of Europe, in the middle of other countries, surrounded by Germany, Austria, Italy, and France. So the people in Switzerland know how to speak all those different languages. They can speak French, they can speak German, they can speak the Italian language. And therefore, it is easier for tourists to come in and they communicate. So the presence of many languages eases communication with the tourists. I want someone to continue writing in the chat. There was a question before I stopped you. Yes, say something, my dear. Kevin, say something. Mario, your hand is up. Mario, your hand is up. So, political stability, we mentioned there are no wars in Switzerland. It is the most peaceful area. The government ensures that there are no wars. Then we have the intensive advancement, which I've explained. The hospitality. Yes, please.
Availability of standard education has been increased to the... Am I hearing me?
I'm hearing you.
Availability of more advanced education has been given to the people, has increased awareness of or application of tourism industries.
Okay, awareness. Education, we shall talk about. If it is an awareness, it is under advertisement. Correct that. Eh? So someone is asking in the chat, teacher, what does Cont'd mean? It is continued. It's a short form for continuation or continued. Don't mind it. Michael, have I answered you? So someone is saying availability of tourist markets with organized tourist attractions. I've not understood what Ashley is trying to say, but I believe she's saying that tourists have so many things to buy when they go to Switzerland. I hope that's what she's trying to say. But that is a bonus to the tourists. The modern monetary transfer systems. In Switzerland, you can make payments before you even go to the place. You don't have to go and make lines in the bank. Okay? So you can book a flight, book where you're going to stay. Their banking systems are modernized. They are transfer systems of money. So you just go and you find the hotel already booked. You can book everything online. And that is how beautiful it is. So tourists don't have to go and hustle, making queues in the banks, using blockers to help them acquire or look for places to stay. No, you can do everything online. Go onto Google, get the hotel you want to visit and make payments. So such transfer systems make the system
coaching also
availability of humble people. Please don't say humble. It is hospitality. When you're humble, you cannot be a tourist guide. Hospitality, someone you're welcome. They speak the language you understand. They are willing to answer the questions with a lot of patience. You don't have to get annoyed when a tourist guide is asking your question. So availability of the hospitable nature of the Swiss people. They are welcoming. They're like the Baganda in Buganda. Very welcoming, you know, and that attracts many tourists to come. Okay, I think we should move on. Thank you very much for your contribution. Continue writing in the chat so that I correct whoever is having a wrong approach. So I'm showing you the chapel bridge. These are things that attract. The chapel bridge in Lucerne is the oldest chapel and it is wooden, by the way. It is constructed in a lake. You can imagine a lake, but there is a chapel. And when you're crossing that lake, there is a wooden bridge. It is the oldest bridge and the most visited area in Switzerland. Okay, I hope you're viewing it. We move on. There is the city of Zurich. It has so many cities and all their cities are very well developed. Cities in Switzerland include, can I someone write down some of the cities in Switzerland that you know of. If not, raise up your hand and tell me. Cities in Switzerland. Yes, Mary? Mary, cities in Switzerland. Angelica, say something. We have no time left. Cities in Switzerland, unmute and say something. People don't know how to unmute themselves.
Montreal. Lena.
Yes, Mary.
Lena.
Which one?
Lena.
Cities in Switzerland. Angelica, you're unmuting yourself and you're making noise.
Accommodation centers.
You mentioned that already.
Zermatt.
Okay, there is Zermatt, beautiful. And I think in the video there was that Zermatt. We saw what was in Zermatt, the beautiful scenery in Zermatt. Good. There is Zurich, Bern. There is Zurich, okay. There is Lucerne, among others. So it seems you already know the city. So we have the city of Zurich. Look at how beautiful it is. You would wish to go there. Let it be your #1 go-to place. When you think of Switzerland, think of Zurich. Look at the road through the Swiss Alps, meandering. People go there to see how this road meanders through a mountainous area. And I think here in Uganda, we also have something like that. Okay, so after looking at all those beautiful tourist attractions, I want you to go back home. The moment you reach the airport like this, because some of us were in Switzerland, go back home, sit down and draw a sketch map of Switzerland, and on it mark and name the major tourist centers. If you want a recap of this lesson, you can go to our Google Classroom. You'll find the notes there. Okay. And our Google code is DBU. DBU. Wambade, you're in a wrong class. This is Geography Senior 2. Write down a message for me in case of any questions, any advice, as I read out the Google Classroom code DBULZEA. That is where you're going to find the work for today. But I'm leaving an assignment to go and draw a sketch map of Switzerland. Okay. Mark and name the major tourist centers. If you want the work, once again, I'm reading for you. It is DBULZEA. Go to Google and get the details of today's work. Thank you very much for being a good class, for participating. Someone is asking for the link to the video. Go to YouTube and just type in Switzerland in 10 minutes video. It will come. Otherwise, you can still follow the same video on our YouTube again. This lesson has been live streamed on YouTube. Oh boy, I hope I've answered you. Any questions before I conclude? Any questions?
No.
I'm glad to know you've understood. Yes, someone has a hand up.